September 7th, 1943, Westward Ho, Beach, Devon, England. A crowd of British military brass watches from a safe distance as engineers prepare the final demonstration of a new secret weapon. Among them, several generals, admiralty officials, and the designer himself, Lieutenant Commander Neville Shute Norway, who would later become famous as the novelist Neville Shute. The weapon sits at the waterline, looking like something from a Jules Verne fever dream. Two massive wheels, each 10 feet in diameter, connected by a steel axle. Mounted around the rim of each wheel, 70 rockets. Between the wheels, 1 ton of high explosive. The entire contraption weighs 2 tons. The concept is simple. Light the rockets, and the spinning wheels will propel the device up the beach at high speed, smashing through German coastal defenses, detonating on contact with obstacles, clearing a path for the D-Day invasion. The signal is given. Engineers ignite the rockets. For 3 seconds, it works perfectly. The Panjandrum rolls forward, gathering speed, rockets screaming, heading straight up the beach toward the test fortifications. Then a rocket breaks loose, the wheel wobbles, another rocket detaches, spiraling into the air. Then another, then 5 more. The device veers wildly left, then right, then begins spinning in circles, trailing fire and smoke, rockets launching in random directions. The crowd scatters. A general dives behind a jeep. Officials run for their lives. A dog belonging to one of the engineers, excited by the chaos, chases after the rogue weapon, barking furiously. The Panjandrum careens across the beach, heading directly toward the observation area, rockets firing in all directions like a Catherine wheel on steroids. It misses the fleeing. Generals by 20 yards, smashes into the surf, and finally detonates in a column of water and debris. The dog miraculously survives unharmed. The weapon designed to destroy Nazi bunkers had nearly killed the entire British general staff. This was the Panjandrum, Britain's most spectacular weapons failure, and perhaps the most entertainingly disastrous military invention in history. The problem facing Allied planners in 1943 was German coastal fortifications. Hitler's Atlantic Wall stretched from Norway to the Spanish border, thousands of kilometers of reinforced concrete bunkers, anti-tank obstacles, dragon's teeth, Belgian gates, barbed wire entanglements, mines, millions of them, artillery positions commanding the beaches, machine gun nests with interlocking fields of fire. Allied intelligence knew that D-Day would require breaching these defenses. Conventional methods were all problematic. Naval bombardment, inaccurate against small fortifications. Many bunkers survived direct hits, couldn't clear obstacles below the high water mark. Aerial bombing, even less accurate than naval guns. Bombers couldn't distinguish obstacles from natural features. Bombs often buried in sand without detonating combat engineers. Exposed to enemy fire while clearing obstacles. Slow process under fire. Casualty rates would be catastrophic. Tanks. Many obstacles specifically designed to stop armor. Specialized tanks being developed. Hobart's funnies, but limited numbers. Allied planners needed something that could breach obstacles quickly, survive crossing a beach under fire, deliver large explosive charges to fortifications, clear paths through obstacles for following troops, be manufactured in quantity. The Directorate of Miscellaneous Weapons Development, the department responsible for unconventional weapons, began investigating radical solutions. One concept stood out for sheer audacity: a rocket-propelled explosive wheel that would roll itself up the beach and detonate against obstacles. On paper, it was brilliant. In practice, it would become a legend of British eccentricity. Development of the Panjandrum began in 1943 at the Department of Miscellaneous Weapons Development, MD1. The team, Lieutenant Commander Neville Shute Norway, Royal Navy Volunteer Reserve, trained as an aeronautical engineer, later famous as novelist Neville Shute, on the beach, a town like Alice. lead designer of the Panjandrum. Major Millis Jeffries, director of MD-1, previously developed sticky bombs and other unconventional weapons, believed in testing radical concepts. Staff engineers from MD-1, based at the Firs, Whitchurch, Buckinghamshire, access to testing ranges and manufacturing facilities. The name Panjandrum came from an 18th century nonsense poem by Samuel Foote. So she went into the garden to cut a cabbage leaf to make an apple pie. And at the same time a great she-bear, coming up the street, pops its head into the shop. What? No soap? So he died, and she very imprudently married the barber. And there were present the Piccaninnies, and the Job-Lilies, and the Garrules, and the Grand Panjandrum himself, with the little round button at top. The name perfectly captured the weapon's absurdity. The design, Mark U1, initial prototype. Specifications: wheel diameter, 10 feet, 3 meters. Wheel width, 1 foot, 30 centimeter. Number of wheels, 2, connected by steel axle. Axle length, 6 feet, space for explosive payload. Total weight, 2 tons. Explosive payload, 1 ton, later increased to 1.8 tons. Rocket propulsion. Number of rockets, 70 per wheel, 140 total. Rocket type, cordite propellant rockets. Mounting, around outer rim of each wheel. Burn time, 20 seconds. Total thrust, sufficient to propel 2 tons at 60 mph. Theoretically, control mechanism, none. The device was unguided. Directional stability relied entirely on wheel balance, even rocket thrust. Straight launching ramp, luck. The theory: 1. Deploy Panjandrum at waterline via landing craft. 2. Aim at target, German fortification. 3. Light rockets via remote electrical ignition. 4. Rockets propel wheels forward. 5. Device rolls up beach at high speed. 6. Hits obstacle fortification. 7. Impact triggered detonates explosive. 8. Obstacle destroyed, path cleared. In theory, multiple Panjandrums could clear multiple paths simultaneously. The problems discovered during testing. Test 1. Appledore, Devon, early 1943. Device rolled forward successfully for 50 yards, then veered sharply left, plowed into sand dunes, detonated harmlessly. Problem identified: wheels not perfectly balanced, causing directional drift. Test 2. Westward Ho, Beach, May 1943. Wheels rebalanced, rockets repositioned, initial run successful for 100 yards, then rockets began breaking free from mountings. Thrust became asymmetric. Device spun in circles. Eventually stopped, failed to detonate. Problem identified: rocket mounting brackets insufficient for stress. Test 3, July 1943. Rocket mountings reinforced. Ignition system improved. Device rolled 200 yards. Half the rockets detached during run. Remaining rockets couldn't maintain speed. Device slowed and stopped. Problem identified: vibration from rockets caused progressive failure of mounts. Test 4, September 1943. The famous failure. This was the demonstration attended by senior military brass. Modifications made. Further reinforced mountings. Increased number of rockets to 140. Added stabilizing cables between wheels. Result: initial performance perfect. After 3 seconds, rockets began failing catastrophically. Device became uncontrollable. Veered toward observers. General panic. Device crashed into surf. Detonated. A cameraman from the Royal Navy filmed the event. The footage still exists and is hilarious, terrifying. Why it failed. Problem 1. Vibration. 140 rockets firing simultaneously created enormous vibration. Mounting brackets, no matter how reinforced, couldn't handle the stress. Problem 2. Uneven burn. Not all rockets ignited simultaneously or burned at identical rates. This created asymmetric thrust. Problem 3. Control. No guidance system existed. Once launched, the Panjandrum went where physics took it. Problem 4. Beach conditions, soft sand, debris, slope variations, all affected trajectory unpredictably. Problem 5. Scale. The device was simply too large and too powerful to be controllable with 1943 technology. Alternative designs considered: Mark II, smaller wheels, 8 feet, fewer rockets, 60 total, remote guidance via cables, never built, project cancelled. Mark III, 4 wheels instead of 2, better stability, theoretically, more complex, never progressed beyond sketches. If you're enjoying this look at spectacular military failures, a quick subscribe helps the channel keep uncovering these forgotten disasters. Now let's see what happened to the Panjandrum after its catastrophic demonstration. Official cancellation. After the September 1943 demonstration, the Admiralty made its decision. The Panjandrum is not suitable for operational use. The understatement of the war. Why it was continued. Briefly. Despite the catastrophic failures, MD-1 continued limited testing through October 1943. Reasons. Sunk, cost fallacy, resources already invested, lack of alternative beach clearing solutions, institutional momentum, belief that problems were solvable, final tests, October 1943. Smaller payload, reduce weight, fewer rockets, reduce vibration, shorter test runs, reduce failure opportunities. Results. Marginal improvement. Device still uncontrollable. Project cancellation, November 1943. Final decision made by Combined Operations Headquarters, Admiralty, War Office, reasons cited: uncontrollable trajectory, danger to friendly forces, unreliable detonation, better alternatives available, specialized tanks. What replaced it? By late 1943, Major General Percy Hobart had developed specialized armored vehicles for beach clearing. Churchill Avra, Armored Vehicle Royal Engineers, carried 290mm spigot mortar, petard, could fire 40-pound explosive charges, armored protection for crew, controllable, reliable. Churchill Crocodile, flamethrower tank, could clear bunkers, terrifying to defenders. Sherman Crab, flail tank for mine clearing. Chain flails detonated mines safely. These Hobart's funnies proved effective on D-Day. The Panjandrum did not. The footage. Royal Navy cameramen filmed the September 1943 test. The footage was classified until the 1970s, embarrassing to show failure. When declassified, it became somewhat famous. Shown in documentaries about military failures, used in TV comedy programs, became symbol of British eccentricity. Footage shows Panjandrum rolling majestically, first rockets detaching, progressive loss of control, observers fleeing, dog-chasing device, final chaotic moments. It's simultaneously terrifying and hilarious. Neville Shute's later career. Lieutenant Commander Norway left the Royal Navy in 1945 and resumed his writing career as Neville Shute. He never publicly discussed the Panjandrum in detail, though he mentioned it briefly in autobiographical notes. His novels often featured engineers and practical problem-solving, perhaps reflecting his experiences with impractical problem-solving during the war. Famous novels include On the Beach, 1957, Post-Nuclear War, A Town Like Alice, 1950, POW Survival, No Highway, 1948, Aircraft Disaster. He died in 1960, his connection to the Panjandrum mostly forgotten. Secrecy. The Panjandrum remained classified long after the war for reasons that remain unclear. Possible reasons: embarrassment, related technologies still classified, bureaucratic inertia, declassification occurred piecemeal, basic details, 1960s, test footage, 1970s, complete files, 1980s, public rediscovery. The Panjandrum entered popular culture through 1970s TV documentaries. The Secret War, BBC, featured footage, presented as British wartime eccentricity, 2000s internet. Footage uploaded to YouTube became viral, relatively speaking, featured in worst weapons lists. Museum exhibits. No complete panjandrum survives. Some rocket components in British museums, models and diagrams displayed. The panjandrum was not alone in Britain's catalogue of failed weapons. Other British failures: Vickers light tank swimming, 1919. Tank with inflatable tubes, sank immediately. Crew narrowly escaped drowning. Brennan torpedo, 1880s. Wire-guided torpedo, wires tangled constantly. Abandoned Great Panjandrum barrel, never built. Proposal to roll explosive barrels down hills at Germans, rejected as even more impractical than Panjandrum. American failures: bat bomb, already covered. Bats carrying incendiaries, accidentally burned American airfield. Cancelled pigeon-guided missiles. Pigeons pecking screens to guide bombs, worked in testing, never deployed, too bizarre. German failures: mouse tank, 188-ton super heavy tank, too heavy to cross bridges, required special train transport, too built, never used in combat. Landkreutzer, P. 1000 Rata, proposed 1,000-ton tank, never built, fortunately, would have been useless. Soviet failures: Antonov A-40, flying tank, tank with detachable wings, could theoretically glide, one test flight immediately cancelled. Tsar tank, 1914, tricycle design with 9-meter front wheels, got stuck immediately in testing, abandoned in field for years. The Panjandrum stands out for spectacular failure mode, danger to observers, excellent documentation, footage exists. Why it mattered. The Panjandrum represents important lessons in weapons development. Lesson 1. Test before demonstrating to generals. The September 1943 demonstration should never have occurred. Previous tests showed fundamental problems unsolved. Lesson 2. Simple is better than clever. Hobart's funnies were simple, reliable, conventional. The Panjandrum was complex, unreliable, radical. Lesson 3. Physics doesn't care about enthusiasm. No amount of British determination could make 140 rockets balance perfectly on spinning wheels. Lesson 4. Admit failure early. Continuing testing after obvious failure wasted resources needed elsewhere. Cultural legacy. The Panjandrum became a symbol of British eccentricity, willingness to try absurd solutions, stiff upper-lip approach to disaster, ability to laugh at own failures. Engineering hubris. Building something because you can, not because you should, ignoring obvious problems. Optimism, overcoming evidence. Wartime innovation. Desperation breeds creativity. Not all creative ideas are good ideas. Testing is important. Modern references. The Panjandrum appears in video games, weapon in some WWE games, usually as joke weapon. Literature, referenced in military history books, symbol of failed innovation. Internet memes, gifs of spinning out of control, metaphor for projects going wrong. Educational use, engineering courses on failure analysis, case study in project management. Did anything good come from it? Rocket mounting research. Lessons learned about rocket vibration and mounting influenced post-war missile development. Testing protocols. British weapons development improved testing procedures after Panjandrum embarrassment. Entertainment value. The footage has entertained millions, providing comedic relief when discussing the seriousness of WA. Inspiring future eccentricity. British weapons development continued to attempt unconventional solutions with better results. Bouncing bombs, worked. Mulberry Harbours, worked. Pluto pipeline, worked. The Panjandrum showed that being wrong spectacularly is better than not trying. September 7th, 1943, westward, Hoe Beach. 2 10-foot wheels, 140 rockets, 1 ton of explosive, a crowd of generals watching. 3 seconds of perfection. Then chaos. Rockets flying, wheels spinning, generals running, a dog barking. The weapon designed to destroy Nazi bunkers nearly killed the entire British general staff. The Panjandrum was never deployed. It was never effective. It was never controllable. But it was British, eccentric, optimistic, absolutely spectacular in its failure. 10 feet in diameter, 60 miles per hour, zero control.